So okay, so I'll just share this video now. Let's do this before we. It is how to strengthen communication and relation. It is how to strengthen communication and relationship through family structures and systems. You know, it's our month of creating our family structure and system, putting system in place, putting structure in place in the Visionary Parents Academy. Am I too close? I think I'm too close. In the Visionary Parents Academy, it has been one activity from one activity to another every single day. And if you're in the Visionary Parents Academy, I'm sure by now your structure, your system is looking up. I'm sure by now you are almost having this kind of document in your home, because it's what we've been doing, one activity or the other. And like I told you at the start, even if you're not in the Visionary Parents Academy, you know, if you followed us on day 1, day 2, this is day 3, or rather week 3, you should also be able to create your family system, your structure. Structure is what organizes your family, puts your family together. If you want to minimize all the dramas that happen in your parenting, you definitely need a structure, because structure will help you minimize all the dramas that actually happen. Structures brings peace, it brings order. Structure talks about what to do, when to do it, how to do it. You know, structure is consistency. Structure builds second nature. So you cannot parent without having a structure. Do I have excuse me, sorry, my glasses was looking somehow. Hello. Okay, someone says okay. Hello. So this is Parenting with Enimia Orebo, and my name is Enimia Orebo, and this is brought to you by the Visionary Parents Academy. It's all about structure. It's been structure all through the month of March. We have been creating our family structure. Like I said before I started cleaning my glasses, if you've been following me, I'm sure by now you have this kind of document. Your document, your family structure will be building up, will be looking this good. This is my family constitution. It will be looking this good. So if you're not in the academy, it's okay. Like I said, we've had 3 classes here: week 1, week 2, week 3. Week 1, week 2, week 3. So I'm sure by week 3 you should have had something put together for your family structure. Like I was saying before I cleaned my glasses, your structure is your peace, is your order, is the organization, is the power engine of your home. If you don't have a family structure, you are just going to be random, spontaneous, doing everything, you know, just doing things anyhow. You find yourself always yelling, you find yourself always smacking and always shouting. So yes, everyone needs a structure in their home. And if you are here, if you're in the Visionary Parents Academy and you have not started your structure, please go get started already. And if you are here, you are not in the Visionary Parents Academy, you can go back to our first video and second video. This is the third video, and start creating your family structure, because we've talked a lot and we've covered very many aspects of structure. So let's go. Today is all about how to strengthen communication and relationship through family structure and system. Yes, that's what we are looking about today. And if you follow me long enough, you know that the very first thing I'm big on, what I talk about, I can't stop talking about, is have a vision. It starts from that. Every single thing you are doing, you know, if you know where you are going to, you will know where to go, how to go about it now. That is what vision does to you. Vision is where you are going to. So as a family, you must have a vision. That is one of the very first thing, because you are not just going to create a random structure. Your structure has to be such that at least takes you to your vision. So first thing you want to do, you want to have a clear vision. You want to have clear family values and family mission. Clear family values. Something must guide your family. So we're talking about family relationships. We're talking about communication today. Values must guide your relationship. Values must guide your communication. So when you are talking about telling your children about how to communicate or how not to communicate, then there is something that there's a reason why they should or they should not, you know. Like we have very many families around, when they are talking carelessly, they talk carelessly. You hear the younger child of about 9 will be telling the older one of like 15, are you mad, are you crazy? Like I can't wrap my head around it, because for me it is definitely, it's non-negotiable. Like those words are even too heavy for me. As an adult, I have never had to ask someone, my child, my mates, or anyone around if they are mad, if they are crazy, you know, let alone children, someone younger, 9 years old, asking a 15 years old if she's mad, if she's crazy. Nah, it's definitely a no-no for me. So, and I always tell my children that it is because of who you are, because of this, the kind of person you are a role model. You cannot be careless with words. You can't use words anyhow. Everyone else can use words anyhow. That is who they are, because you are you are defined by your total package. The way you talk, the way you walk, the way you dress, people define you. So if you're a role model and you always want to be defined as that, then you cannot choose to be careless with your words. You have a big picture, you know where you are going to, right? So careless talks definitely is not one of those things that will take you to where you are going to. So yes, so some people can just have that talk randomly, but in my home is a no-no. Though I said you are going to start with your vision, that is, if you followed me long enough, you know I keep singing that. It's almost a broken record. You must be clear on your family values. Your family values, like respect for one another, is key in our family values. Unity, to be united, having a family who is united is definitely one of the core to our family. So if that is it, then respect for one another has to be there. And communication is one way, is one definitely through communication. How you talk to each other, is how you pass information generally, is one way to show respect to one another. So now let's go. I said, first of all, you need to have your values sorted. You need to understand what you value as a family, and your values, I've talked about this even on one time. So your values are not random. Your values are such that they lead to your vision. You have a vision for your family. Your values lead to your vision. Then conflict will always arise in your family. It is even you as a parent. Your children will rival each other. Your children, I always tell my children, I hope we are not going to clash today. You know, I hope we are not going to clash today. You will clash. They will press your buttons. Issues will happen. How you resolve these conflicts, is super important, you know. So one of the things you want to do as a parent is, first of all, you are going to have conflicts, not conflict now. You are going to have issues, misbehaviors that are out of boundaries, that are non-negotiable. We are not even going to come down and look at it like, oh, for, you know, when children do, when you do things, you know, will say, oh, please, and when children do things, they will start saying, mommy, please forgive me. Mommy, please forgive me. You are going to have behaviors. There are some that you cannot forgive. Nah. There are some that, okay, we are going to forgive. There are some, so every behavior has to have a consequence, and you must communicate it. You must communicate it from start. We are talking about communication. So structure is not about being random. Nah. From the word go, your children have to understand expectations. You communicate expectations in a clear language to your children. So structure, you know what we're talking about? Okay, meal plan. You are communicating what we eat, when we eat it, or how we eat it. When we talk about TV rules, you are communicating. These are our expectations when it comes to television. When we're talking about dining rules, we are communicating. These are our expectations when we come to dining and all of that. So you are going to have a clear communication, what you want them to do, how you want them to do it, to communicate with each other, and all of that. It is going to be clear. That is structure. Structure is clarity. It is clear. It is order. It is organized. So if you don't do that, and if you haven't done that as a parent, you should go and do it. You know, make a list of all the things your children do, all the things they do that, actually we did that in the emotions mastery class. All the things that your children do that get to you, that get you clashing, just make a list of them. You are going to create a structure around them. Good afternoon, ma. Thank you for joining me. You are going to create a structure around them. What structures are you going to create around them? Why? An alternative. If your children do things that you don't like, for example, the particular thing you don't like, it's almost always because they don't know better. They don't have alternative. They don't have better skills. Just like parents, when you yell, is almost always because you do not either have an alternative or you don't trust the alternative. So what you want to do, your structure now is communication. Yes, thank you so much, ma. Thank you for joining us today. So your structure now is set clearly, tell them clearly what you don't like, and then tell them, show them alternative way to behave, what they should do. So you are communicating it. You are not assuming they know. You are communicating it. That is because they need to know. They need to not assuming. You know, there's something quite common amongst couple. The way they resolve conflict. You hear a lot of people will say, my husband doesn't like to apologize. No, what he does instead is just find another way. Maybe he gets me a gift while the wife wants to apologize. We want to sit down, we have it trashed. Why for very many husbands now, they just use body language to apologize. Now, when you come, they say that's what African parents do. African moms, when they offend you, they come and use corner to apologize. No, that's not what you are doing. You're actually making it clear to your child, now this is it, what you are doing that is not acceptable. Now this is what you need to do instead of this. I know maybe you don't have skills to do this, so this is the right thing you need to do instead of this. So you are going to actually communicate it. This is why I said make a list of all the things your children do that get to you. Then you want to now make a list of alternative ways. You want to assume that they don't have skills so to do the right things yet. So you want to make a list of the proper ways to do them. That is you now redirecting them to how they are supposed to do these things. Say for example, they are always bickering. Say, oh, you hit me. So you want to make a list of, okay, why did you hit this person? You hit because of this. Okay, this is exactly what you can do to get the same effect other than hitting, because in my home, in our home, we do not hit at all. So, or for example, you like someone like me, I don't like my children using insultive words. Nah, even outside, even inside, I'm not comfortable with it. It's not part of us. I tell them that no, it doesn't define who you are, because people are always listening to you. They are always watching you, and the way you present yourself is the way they are going to relate. They are going to talk to you, relate with you, and all of that. So if you are someone who is careless with your tongue, they are going to conclude that you are just an anyhow person, you know, for lack of better words, and they are going to relate to you in an anyhow way. You don't want that. I don't want that, because it's not who you are. And for all you know, people may have an impression about you, and for a very long time, that is the impression. I read on social media when people say your friends still want to relate with you the way you used to do back then. They still see you. They see you now. You are grown. You are doing something. They still don't believe it's you. They are not confident that it's you. They still just want to, should I say, casualize you or commonize. They just want to like play down on what you are doing, because they don't believe that people evolve, people grow, you know. That is it. So you don't even want to create an impression. You want to have an impression. You want to have a good image that people will uphold for a long time. Even when they see you in the future, they are still going to relate with you based on how they knew you a long time ago, you know, before they will even say, oh, this person has even grown better. They will always relate to you positively. So because of that, it's a no for you to be careless with your tongue. So I know that for very many children, one of the reasons they are careless with their tongue is because they don't have better alternatives. They don't know better way. You see siblings telling each other, you mad, you know, when they are angry. It's because they do not know how to express that anger. So they are using those insultive words. Since for me, I don't want such insultive words, what do? I always teach my children, when you are angry, this is exactly what to use. For example, there was a time we had a list of alternatives. Someone does something to you, you want to express yourself. This is a better alternative than this. This is a better alternative. This alternative actually passes the same message to the person that you are not pleased, that they are encroaching into your boundary, that you don't like this particular behavior. It passes the same message in the same way, but not in an insultive way. So that is why I said, make a list of all the things your kids do and help them with alternative ways to actually express themselves or behave. Okay, I've talked about conflict management. That's what I'm talking about now. I'm talking about have non-negotiable rules. Yes, have non-negotiable rules in your home. Like I have mine. I hope I still have it on my system. My family rules. We have some non-negotiable rules. I've shared it in the Visionary Parent Academy before. I will share it at the end of the day again today. We have our own communication rules. We have it like no raised of voice, no sarcasm, no threat, no eye rolling, no walking out during a conversation, no saying, no, I don't know, you know, I don't like that, no, I don't know. I always tell my children that they are problem solvers. So whenever there's an issue, because when you say, oh, did you find something? No, or I don't know where it is. Nah, it is not an answer that we accept. So when I say, I'm looking for my glasses, instead of you to say, I don't know where my glasses are, you are going to tell me, suggest something, you know, suggest something. Okay, your glasses, when last did you see them? Where did you use them? Did you wear them here? Did you wear them there? You are going to suggest something. Wear your problem solving cap and help me problem solve. That is it. That is why we have such rule as saying no, or saying I don't know is not acceptable. I don't know or I can't is not acceptable. You make an effort, or you try to proffer solution. Then we'd have no silent treatment. Nah, yes, no silent treatment. I see parents use this in a lot for their children, and I'm wondering, are you kidding me? You're angry at your child, you just decide to be keeping malice with your child. So you have grown-up children and they are keeping malice with themselves, and you are not liking it. I remember I had a parent once, that was even before I started parent coaching, who my friend gave birth, and I went to greet her. Then my colleague, more like my colleague, not my friend, really. And the mom, she was like, she saw me, I was talking, she felt confident somehow. And when my friend stepped out, and she was telling me that my friend, my colleague and her brother, they've been in the same Lagos for a long time, and they've not seen each other. So I thought it was something like, oh, you are in Lagos. My auntie would say, you are in Lagos, Lagos is far. You are in Lagos, someone is on the mainland, someone is on the island. It's not easy to see every day. It was when she explained further, I realized they were keeping malice. They were not in talking terms. So for years, going to a decade, if not more, siblings, brother and sister, they were not talking. They were not speaking with each other. So they had no business coming to look for each other. They don't even call on the phone, you know. So now, when I just used the idea to ask grandma about growing up, how she raised them and all of that, her discipline. And even though I was not a parent coach then, I have a background in psychology, and I've always known that, there's something called people learn from parenting, from how you were raised. So when I started talking to her, I realized that one of the things she used to do then was, she used to keep malice. You know, she was talking about how her husband could be angry and go on for days and not eat food and all of that. She was trying to say that her son learns from her husband. That's how her husband used to do. He can go on for days and not eat your food and be angry and all of that. And then at some point they had a concubine and he would go there to eat. So I was telling myself that, how do I not tell grandma that these children learned from them, you know? I couldn't tell grandma then. Maybe if it's now, I would have been able to look for a way to say, but then I couldn't say it. So what I'm trying to say is, so some parents, they keep malice with their children. They silent treatment. Husbands do it with their wives do it with their husbands. Nah. Now your children are learning from you, and they are going to grow with it tomorrow. So bear that in mind. So no silent treatment, no hitting, no insultive language, and we have all of that. These are some of our communication rules in my house that we work with. So you also want to have communication rule in your house, and the next one you want to have is your conflict resolution system. It is the way you resolve conflict, because no matter how politely you talk to each other, no matter how it is, there must be conflict. Hey, your children, they are of two different personalities, or even if they are of the same personality, they will have issues. Some issues will always make them conflict. Even you and your children, you and your spouse will conflict. So one of the things you want to do is to make sure that you have a way, a structure, a system in place that addresses how you resolve your conflict. I hear people say a lot of the time that them and their spouse, they agreed even before they married that they are not going to go to bed angry. They must resolve their issues before they go to bed. And someone said that it's because people don't have real issues. If you have real issues, you know, I was wondering, what real issues will you have? If you have real issues that will make you not you are not able to settle your real issues before you go to bed, it simply means your values don't even align in the first place. It has to be a very what kind of issues will you have that you will not be able to sort it out before you go to bed, except you are just angry. It has to be a communication issue, because if you are able to communicate, you always be able to sort things out. If you are able to communicate, so it always has to be a communication issue that you will have real issue that you are not able to sort it out. Is either you are not listening, or the person is not explaining it well, or you just have differing values rather. It is why you will not be able to sort it out before you go to bed. You have different values, your ideas don't align, you are not able to sort it out before you go to bed. So you want to actually have a conflict resolution system in your home. Now let me tell you, one of the things this does is that some children, because when you are when your children have issues, there is every likelihood that when you step in to judge the matter, you are going to tilt towards one side. And no matter how reasonable you try to be, the one that is not being favored, we think you are being biased. And we know that favoritism, we know the role of favoritism in family dynamics. We know the role of, we know how favoritism can actually be a major problem in families, right? And like I always say, many times it's not because as a parent you are actually favoring one child over another. It's not because you are taking sides with one child. It is how your children are seeing these things. It may not be about what you are doing. It's about how these children interpret these things. That is the matter. So what you want to do, you want to have a structure in place for conflict resolution. This way you are not stepping in, you are not stepping away. It is why your structure is not something you just wake up to do. It's something that you all sit down as a family and create together. When you create together, it is binding. So when something happens, then, for example, you have a family system that says, before you use anyone's item, you must ask them. Now, when you don't ask them, you are going to do X, Y, Z. Now, when a child breaks that particular rule or law in the family, and you are not just coming spontaneously to say, okay, do this. They have the family constitution that is going to guide the child. You have set the structure in place that is going to guide the child. So at the end of the day, no one is saying, oh, mommy is taking side with this person, dad is taking side with this person. No one is saying that, because you all had an agreement previously that if you use the person's thing without the person's approval, this is going to be your penalty. And now it is being, should I say, imposed. That is it. So when you have your structure, when it comes to communication, comes to conflict resolution, management and all of that, it helps you a great deal. It minimizes the fear of favoritism. Mom is taking side, dad is taking side. That fear is greatly minimized because you all sat down together to talk about issues. It is why, as a parent, one of the first things I told you to do at the beginning of this class was make a list of all the things your children do not like. Make a list of all of them. And begin to write the alternative, how you want them to behave instead, and then create a structure. Your structure will include how you want them to act and the consequence, and then you are communicating it. So it's not just all about you and your children. We know that makes up your family. You also have your spouse as a part of your family. You also have your children as part of your family. You also have people coming around, visitors and all of that as part of your family. So your structure should be such that it carries everybody. It captures everyone. How we communicate generally, how we relate generally. So you're also going to have structures for children to children, rivalry. When they rival each other, when they are bickering, something is happening to them, how do they resolve their differences? It is also going to be communicated. Like I said, so that removes the chances of you favoring one person. Not necessarily you favoring one person. Chances of one person thinking that you are actually favoring them against the other. Structure is just to give you a good family, peace, orderliness in your home, make everyone on the same page. I tell you something, if as a parent you can have your spouse and your children joining to craft your family structure, you all are going to be on the same page at the end of the day. You are going to sit there and have them craft the family structure, because it's going to include every single aspect of your life, every single aspect. Your communication is going to be there. Your family finances is going to be there. Your visitors coming in and going in is going to be there. Even in-laws coming in is going to be there. You are going to have this guide, how you relate, how you do things. And if everybody works within the guide, if everybody is loyal to the guide, you are going to have a more peaceful home. I'm not saying it's super easy. No. The other day, somebody sent me a message. I made a broadcast and the person said, easier said than done. I said, oh. So I asked the person, are you in any parenting academy? Today, she has not answered me. She has not answered me. Because sometimes it's not just to come and actually say it. You have to patiently, there are processes, there are things you need to put in place that will help you. If you don't know these things, you will feel, oh, it's easier said than done. Trust me, it is as easy as it said if you know the right things to put in place. Okay, so I was talking about implementing a fair conflict resolution system, where I've talked about that. You know, you want to do some things like, okay, tell your children that it's not an emergency. We are big on it's not an emergency in the Visionary Parent Academy. It's not an emergency. So you don't have to respond now. You can always pause, think through before you respond. It is not about getting revenge. It's not about hurting another person. You know, it's actually about communicating to that person. You have a goal. I always tell my children, at the end of the day, for everything you want, you have a goal, right? Maybe your brother is using your item, you don't like it. You have a goal. The goal is not for him to stop using the item. So it is not about you yelling at him, hitting him, snatching away. What you want is actually to get him not to use your item. And if you can communicate that without going violent, why not? So you want to teach them that, first of all, it is not an emergency. You also want to teach them things like, okay, taking turns to speak and all of that. So let's go. The next one is you want to define personal space and boundaries. I've shared this in passive already. Because one of the things that make people clash in homes is, children clash in home, is when there are things, oh, he's using my thing, he's doing this, he's doing that. You know, this is why you want to define personal space and boundaries. Everyone has their individual things. Everyone has, especially when your children are small. I've shared this 1,000,001 times in the Visionary Parent Academy. When my kids were small, they all had their things. Everyone knew what to do. Everyone knew how their thing, what to use and how to go about it. So that actually minimizes the conflict that arises from boundary or personal space. You know, even now they have their rooms and everyone knows that, okay, boys room, girls don't enter, girls room, boys don't enter. So when I want to use my siblings thing, I actually ask for permission. Boundaries clear in your constitution. You also create boundaries around not just your children, around things in your home. You have things like your children they have energy, they are very energetic, so they always want to play. There's a place outside for play. That is space structure. There is time for everything. You know, you don't watch television at so time, you don't eat in the living room. There's time for everything, there's space for everything. That is what structure is about. So you create boundaries around things. Create around boundaries around things. Even your children, they have their own boundaries, so that people do not even just their siblings, people coming to visit you, don't just barge into their barge into their space and they start having conflict. I had an 11-year-old boy stay with me for over a month, and one of the things I did was, don't come into my personal bedroom. He was sharing my son's bedroom, and my daughter has her own bedroom. You don't enter me and my husband's bedroom. My kids come in there all through the 2 months. You are not entering. You know, it was just for me to teach boundary. Every other thing you were free. He was super free in the house. Two boundaries I set. Don't enter my bedroom. Don't when it's time to eat, wait for someone to dish food for you. 2 boundaries I set. When it's someone to eat, when it's time to eat, call anyone to dish food for you. We already have someone in the kitchen. And funny enough, the boy he ate more than any other person in the family. So it was almost like every time I'm hungry, and someone was always there readily to actually dish food for him. It was just a way of me trying to set boundaries, teaching my children that there is boundary. No matter how close you are to someone, there is still a little boundary. There should be a little boundary you should set. And I told them why we need to always set boundaries. And you know, because I've always taught them about boundaries before, but the boy actually came as a, when we say case study, it was not a practical case for me to reinforce through practice boundaries I've taught them. So yes, boundaries. Now the next one is you want to use fair consequences and reward system. When it comes to structure, structure already puts everything in place. Structure takes away that spontaneity, that random reactions you have. It is why you have rules and regulations. It is why you have behaviors and consequences. So nothing comes to your child as a shock. Structure is predictability. They know if I do something, this is what is going to happen. That is structure. I remember one time I went for a parenting conference, and the speaker was talking about how don't be predictable, don't let your children be able to predict you. And then she went further to give an example that one time her maid broke her blender. So when she came, she met the maid crying. And so the maid told her what happened, that she just walked into the room, and the daughter was telling the maid, I told you not to cry, that my mommy will not do anything. And so this woman was like, wow, really? Nah, it is not good for your children to be able to predict you, because if they are able to predict you, they will, I don't know her excuse. I was like, really, are you kidding me? Not being able to predict you confuses your children. They should be able to, it is from that prediction they will know, okay, when I do this, this is the consequence. Now, this is why we have systems abroad working. If you are abroad watching this, or you have families abroad, and you are a Nigerian and you left Nigeria and you went there, you realize that systems there work better than systems in Nigeria. And the reason is they are predictable. You know that if you do this, you break the traffic rule, that there is no hiding place, this is what is going to happen. You know that if you do this, this is what is going to happen. It helps you behave. It helps put you on your toes. It trains you to actually behave better than you come to Nigeria when you break traffic rule. But if you are lucky, you are not caught. If you are unlucky, you are caught. So I remember one time I was driving past, and I saw some yams being sold at the roadside. I was telling someone I was carrying that I would have loved to buy this yam, but these yams are actually inviting me. But and she was like, go and buy. And I said, where will I park? Last man will just be all over. She said, no, last mans are not here. She was looking around and said, oh, come on, buy now. Last mans are not here. Why did she have that confidence? Because she didn't see any last man. You know, I could have just pulled over, gotten my cheapest of yams, and I would drive away like that. Last man would not catch me. You know, but the days I'm not lucky. But why was I afraid? Because I know that last man could actually be somewhere looking around, not seeing them, they watching me. Because of that, they are not you can't predict them. They are not predictable. So because of that, you can decide to do something today, and with the hope that you will get away with it, and you do something another time with the hope that you will still get away with it. So as a parent, you have a clear behavioral expectations for your children, clear way to behave. It is where the family constitution comes in. Clear way to behave. You have every single behavior spelled out, and the behavior, they have consequences also spelled out. Behaviors spelled out, consequences spelled out, so the children know exactly what to expect. If I do this, this is going to happen. If I come late home, this is what is going to happen. If I destroy things in the house, this is what is going to happen. If I don't obey the first time, this is what is going to happen. If I tell lies, this is what is going to happen. If I don't clear my mess after eating, this is what is going to happen. If I don't fix my room properly, this is what is going to happen. If I'm not eating on the dining, I'm going to the kitchen to eat. A lot of things, they know exactly what to happen. So you want to communicate to them through a proper structure, and not just random structure, not being spontaneous. You know, like I watched a video this morning where someone was a hilarious skit where someone just put to bed, and the mom came to visit. Then the mom was now giving her, according to the skit, like she was transferring the cultural inheritance to her. So she gave her a pair of slippers, then she gave her, I think, broom, then she gave her a mop. You know, what it implied was that she was going to use them to as discipline tools for her children. And when I read the comment, someone was saying, there's no spatula, it's not complete though. People were just bringing different suggestions, you know, like when they were much younger. I remember one of my friends said when I was much young, when he was much younger, that the mom would just take the next available thing she could lay her hand on in the kitchen and use it to stone them. I've had people say a lot of things. Their mom would just do something and stone them. Even you don't even know what you have done wrong or what you have done right. They would have even flogged you, hit you, before you will now realize, what did I do? Even some days you will not remember, say, what did I do now? Why did this woman hit me? Like, why did she hit me now? You know, no wonder these days we are so we don't care about how people feel. We just go and say things carelessly, you know, go to hell and go to hell for all I care and burn to ashes. We don't care. We are not mindful because that was how we were raised. Okay, so what am I trying to say? You must set your consequences from start. Your children will have to know. Not being predictable is not good at all in your parenting. It will make your children misbehave because they don't know when you'll be they will not know when you'll be in the right frame of mind. They will not know when you'll be in the left frame of mind. They don't even know what to expect. So they will just behave randomly. You don't want that. You don't want your children to behave randomly. So what you want to do, you want to be very clear from day one, no matter what. It is why we have the family constitution in the Visionary Parents Academy. Yes, when you register, you get a copy of my family constitution. If you want it without being a member, you can get it. It's just 3,000 naira. It contains very many misbehaviors that your child, how many? 60. We have 60 misbehaviors and possible consequences. Because like I always say, consequences is to empower children. It's to teach them an alternative way to behave and not to necessarily afflict pain. We have 60 misbehaviors and consequences that will modify behavior. So you should get it. Okay. So I've talked about consequences. You have to communicate consequences from day one. How you want them to behave, communicate it, and the consequences of misbehaving. You have to communicate it from day one. Just don't let it happen. It doesn't have to be spontaneous, you know. It is why I have told you, make a list of all your children's behaviors, and when you are calm, you are sane, because the purpose of consequence is to modify behavior, is to teach. So when you are calm, you are sane, then you are not going to write the consequences that will actually teach the child what you want them to learn. You are going to write it and you are going to communicate it. That is part of your structure. What makes it a structure is, as soon as you have written it, you are consistent. You are not using it today and tomorrow you forget to use it. It's not like today you say, okay, you mess up your room, now go back and fix your room and do this and do that. That is your consequence. You said you communicated it to, but tomorrow when they have their room messed up, you are all ranting, you are all raving. See, your room is messed up. Nah, you are not being consistent. You are not following your family structure. Your structure is consistency. You have laid it down, you are following it every single time. Every single time. It is why your structure must be realistic. It's not just some random things. Before you create a structure, you have to sit and think, will I be able to follow through with this thing all of the time? Because what makes it work is how much you are able to follow it through. If you're not able to follow it through, it's not going to work, because your child, like I talked about, being predictable is structure. Because your child will now say, okay, today my mom, I don't know, maybe she's in a good mood today. If she's in a good mood today, she will forgive me, she will let it slide. You know, because of that, they want to do things to test whether you're in a good mood or not, or to test your patience and all of that. So you must make sure your structure is such that it is realistic. You can follow it through all of the time. Okay, one thing you want to also create is schedule. We've talked about this. You have to have different times in your family. You want to have time to talk to your children. Yes, time to talk to them, time to bond with them, time for different activities. Especially, we have time for safe space in the Visionary Parents Academy. Now, what are you supposed to do? What are you expected to do? You are expected to have that time with your child, talking to them, finding out what is wrong with them, how their day went, what is troubling them, how they are doing in school. For example, my oldest son was the one in the kitchen this morning, and so because I needed to talk to him, because I remember a couple of days ago he was telling me about some people in his class, a girl and a boy. The girl was actually annoying him because of and something. You know, the girl told someone to tell him that she liked him. You know, but when he was not forthcoming, the girl became angry and she will now pick on him. If he sees him talking with someone, he'll just call me, but you know, I'm not able to take a no or something. So I needed to ask him how it's going, and he doesn't want me to have that conversation where the sister is. So like this morning, when he was the one in the kitchen, I deliberately don't wake his younger ones. I woke him, oh yeah, it's time for kitchen. He got to the kitchen, he was doing his thing, I was doing my thing. Later I remembered, I said, oh, this is the issue. I have this pending issue. So I went to him today to talk about it, to ask him how he's faring, how the girl is still doing and all of that, to just talk so that we can problem solve together. That was a safe space 101 where he could be free to say anything or everything he had in mind, and nobody was there, and my attention was not being divided, because many times, you know, children, they want to talk, I want to talk, so your attention is being divided. So the child that actually may need your attention most at that time may not be able to get the full attention. So it happens like that. For example, my 8-year-old, he likes to bathe himself, but sometimes I want to bathe him. Then I'll tell him, okay, come quickly, let me quickly bathe you, you know, and I just have that 3 minutes, 2 minutes, we brush together, I wash his body, I tell you, I rinse your body, and I'm asking him questions. We are just having that short time to talk, so that I actually know what goes on, what is going on, if he has anything going on with him, and I can actually know. So you want to schedule that one-on-one time with your children. If you are a very busy parent, you can use this style I just talked about. If you are a very busy parent, you can take this strategy I just shared. If your time is flexible, you can deliberately create time once in a week, maybe once in a day. You can decide, okay, I have 3 kids, for example. You can say, okay, once a day I just take a child, we just do something together for 30 minutes or for 10 minutes while the others are doing their thing. You know, you just do that. Everyone takes their turn with you. You can do that if you have a flexible time. But if you're always very busy, then you actually want to use those small time where you have your child with you. Maybe you are bathing them, maybe you just look for small time. You're having a meal, you can choose to have a meal with one child away from the others. You just look for small time. You know, it can be short time also for you to have these conversations. And you can also, another thing you want to do is to create a family time. We are big on that in the Visionary Parents Academy. I've said it over and over again. Have a family time once in a week, Saturday or Sunday. It can be game, it can be TV time, you can call it movie time, you can call it game time, where you play indoor games, or you just sit together, watch a movie, everyone is happy. What happens is, at the end of the movie, everybody comes to share their lessons, their experiences, everyone is happy, you are all smiling, your children are all smiling. Movie time, you can also create time for that. One other thing you want to do is, when we talk about structuring your communication and relationships, I always tell to parents that you are subject to whatever structure you are putting in place in your home. You are subject to it. It's not just about your children. You are subject to it. You have to model it. You can't tell your children, oh, don't eat in the living room, and you are always in the living room eating. It never works. It doesn't make sense. Because one of the things that happens when you model to your children is that you are telling them that thing I'm telling you to do, it's super possible to do it. That's one of the things. Because your children will get to an extent, they'll get to an extent in their age, in their life, where, you know, when children are young, they copy you a great deal. They are copycats. That is when they are young, 3, 4, 5 years, 6. They copy you. But they will get to an age where they'll begin to self-awareness. They'll become aware. They'll begin to identify with themselves first before any other thing. So they will not necessarily copy you again. So in this time, you are now like their mentor, or you are now like a role model to them. So you are proving to them that it is possible. It is possible. So when you tell your children that, I see parents do it a lot. Why are you calling your brother mad? Are you mad? I don't understand. Why are you beating your brother? Beats. You are just telling your child that it is not possible not to hit when you are angry. So because your child hit another child because he was angry, you are hitting that child because you are angry. So you are angry at that child for hitting the other child. What your action is telling your child that it is not possible to be angry without hitting. That is it. Now this is why you must be part of your structure. You can't create a structure for your home without being part of it. So if you say don't eat in the living room, you are not eating in the living room. You are not part of it. You are not eating in the living room. If you say don't do something, you are not going to do that thing at all too, you as a parent. Because when you do that thing, you are telling your children that it is not possible. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it. It's not as if I can do it. It's not as if it's possible. I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it. It's not as if it's possible. Now, each time I teach this topic, I always have a question. People will ask me that, but it's not every structure you put in place that you can actually follow. For example, your children go to bed at 8:30. You go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, because you have other things to do. I get that. So if you have any question, please drop your question in the comment section, and you can also do well to react to this video. Like, love, favorite emoji. I'll really appreciate that. Leave your question in the comment section. I've got this question a lot. People will ask me that, okay, it's not really very possible because you go to bed, you need your children to go to bed early, and then you go to bed late. Now this is why, to answer this question, I always tell them that this is why you must, as a parent, carry your children along. And what you do, you don't do things randomly. You do things because there is a reason, there is a why you are doing something, right? Now let's look at it. When I was teaching my children about sleep, why it's important for them to go to bed early, one of the things I did was we researched on sleep, the importance of sleep, and how many hours they are supposed to sleep for. We have to research that. That was one of the ways we set our structure around bedtime. So if as a child you are supposed to sleep for 9 hours, or you're supposed to sleep for 8 hours, then you go to bed and then you wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, because you have to wake up 5 o'clock because you have chores to do and you are not going to be late for school. So if you're waking up 5 o'clock, you do the math. You count from 5 a.m. down in the evening. So as an adult, you too can sleep for like 7 hours a day, right? That is your own sleep time. So you also want to do your calculation too. So it means if your healthy sleep hours is 9 hours, then I can actually take extra 2 hours to do other things I want to do before I go to bed. Mine is justified. Yours is not justified. Now this is why you are not just the one that wake up in the morning, create the structure and impose it on your children. No, you must carry them along from when they are small. I said, parents, tell your children why. Tell your children why. It's very important. Now when you begin to tell your children why, it helps them a great deal. It's how you are going to reach their heart. It's not just by forcing. We are always forcing, we are always imposing. No, telling them why is, no matter how young they are, you tell them why. You help them see why, how it relates. It helps them to be very responsible. It helps them to understand. I've come to realize that it helps them not to feel entitled, especially if you are telling them why, and you yourself, you understand why. You have a good why. You can explain that why to them. It helps them to be more responsible, more responsible, more independent. It helps them to take decisions that will surprise you, an adult. It just helps them to be more responsible. They are not random. I hear a lot of complaints, parents complain, and I can't relate. Because one of the things I try to do is always tell my children, I don't do things randomly. I was telling the parent that day, she said her son, 7-year-old now, something like that, I think 7 years or 8, I think 7 years, threw a stone and hit the windscreen of her car and it broke. So I was asking her some questions. You may see your child is 7, but you can explain to them in an age-appropriate way. If you have been carrying your child along, they are going to understand. They will not throw stone like that carelessly. I know sometimes they can be impulsive, it can come in the way, but it's going to help a great deal if you have been carrying them along. You are making budgets in your home. You carry your children along in how little You know, it may be, you may feel, oh, it's not, they are too young to understand. No, there's a way you just carry them along. There's a way you make them understand. Like one of the things I do to my children, I tell them, okay, we have a budget, we are spending this XYZ now. You know, I break it down, I share it in the Visionary Parents Academy, and I tell them, okay, this is, if we waste resources, this is what we are going to, this is what is going to come to us. So we may not be able to enjoy some of the pleasures we want to enjoy, you know, like we may not be able to have DSTV, we may not be able to take snacks to school every day, we may not be able to just sit down and have Sunday drinks or Sunday ice cream if we waste our resources. But if we are able to manage the resources we have, and we are not wasting some things, that, like, we are not just pressing toothpaste and having it waste, we are not just cutting detergent and pouring it all over the place, wasteful. It simply means you are going to be able to manage these resources in the month. If you're able to manage resources this month, what this means is that we are going to have extra. That extra we have, you know, we can use it to do anything we like. But if you are not able to manage our resources, it simply means one thing, that we are not going to have extra. Instead of us to have extra, we are going to eat into the following month, you know. So in that case, we are going to now make some sacrifices from, and our sacrifices will have to be from our wants, not our needs. And of course, I've also told them about needs. Your needs are basic, non-negotiable. You must eat. Balanced diet is non-negotiable. You know, you must pay other bills. We have NEPA bills to pay. We have trash collectors bill to pay. They are non-negotiable. You have your school fees and your books and your school requirements. They are non-negotiable. You transport to school every day. They are non-negotiable. You must drink water. They are non-negotiable. Then we have something aside for emergencies. They are non-negotiable. So you must brush your teeth. Non-negotiable. You must wash your clothes and tidy the house. Non-negotiables. So what are negotiables? You want a fancy shoe. It's negotiable. You know, it's not a need. It's a want. Or you want to take snacks. You are not hungry. It's not a need. It's a want. You know, you want us to just drive on the Sunday morning to go and greet our family friend at the other side. It's not a need, it's a want. I have to have petrol in my car to be able to drive there. And if you have wasted something, how will I be able to get that petrol in my car? So when you have these conversations with them all the time, you are carrying them along in an age appropriate way. I tell you, your children will be super responsible. And you are not just that you're just having a conversations with them. They are seeing how these things are playing out. They are seeing it. It is the reality. You are not lying to them. It is the reality. They are actually seeing it. Maybe, for example, you already have a teenager or a teenager. You can say, okay, this is the budget for this month. You hold the money. Whenever I want to do something, you are the one that is dispensing. At the end of the day, anything you buy, you write it down. Anything you buy, you write it down. At the end of the day, you come back to, they come out and they look at it. I remember I watched we actually got the inspiration of giving your children money. Was one time I watched a show where, I don't remember how the show is done, but I know that it's something like that, you know. Not that they will give the children money. They just made a budget and sent the children on an errand with the budget and everything. So at the end of the day, the children got there. They realized that things have gone up a bit. They'll have to sit down and start prioritizing. So they called home to say, Mom said, okay, you prioritize. You know what to do and what not to do. At the end of the day, the children go back home. I'm like, Mommy, how do you go to the market and you see buy everything on the list and more? How do you even do that? Because I couldn't buy the things on the list, you know? So that is it. It helps your children know. So that way the children, because the items were meant to last a particular time, so the children will learn how to manage the item because they were the one that went to buy it. So they will learn to manage the item. So that is it. Learn to carry your children along. I just talked about that. I was talking about modeling. Yes, that was where we are coming from. Modeling. I said you cannot set structure in your home without being subject to it. No, you must be subject to it. Whatever it is eating time and schedule. If you have special health and you are taking special meals, it is why I talked about carrying your children along. They will understand the exceptions and why there are exceptions, because truth of the matter is, yes, your structure is meant to be firm. It's not meant to be rigid. It's not such that it cannot be changed. Even constitutions are changed, right? Yes, your structure is such that it has to be firm but flexible. So even in the flexibility, you need to explain to them why it has to be so. So if, for example, your children, they are eating special food, you are eating on a special diet, and you have a meal plan, of course the children will have to know, okay, my mom doesn't eat anything. Okay, let's say you have a child like my daughter who doesn't want to eat fufu, who doesn't want to eat anything like fufu, semo, amala, pounded yam. She doesn't like anything. But funny enough, if you prepare egusi soup or banga soup, she can use it to eat rice conveniently and enjoy herself. But you see that one that I don't know if her problem is you eating it with hand, or I just don't know why, I understand her issue with Eba, that Eba is somehow, but her issue with the other ones, I don't know. So if you have that kind of a child, and you know that your meal plan, you have fufu for dinner, or you have swallow for dinner, and it's not good for you to eat swallow beyond 4 or 5, then you carry them along. They will understand why there are exceptions. The structure you are making is for you and not you for structure. So your structure has to be flexible. However, in that flexibility, you will explain to your children. That is super important. So you must model, you must be subject to the structure you are making. When I had my television, when I have my first television plan for my home, for my children, we're not watching certain things. I remember I didn't even know there was a channel called Telemundo until my nieces and nephews came to visit me a long time ago. Then my kids were still very small. I think I've only had 2 kids and they were still very super small. And then they discovered Telemundo. I come back from work and I want to, you know how DSTV works, you want to change the channel. It was the last watch channel that would first of all show. So I kept seeing Telemundo. I got interested in it. So it was really addictive that time. I remember when they were showing my Heartbeats for Lola, I'll wait till 11 o'clock and I'll still go to work the following day. I'll wait till 11 o'clock. It was so addictive. I looked forward to it. But as soon as my kids started growing, I knew that, that wasn't it. So we had our television plan and a lot of channels were going to be taken away. Not that a lot of channels were going to be taken away. A lot of movies they were not going to watch. Like I told them, any movies that is adults, that they are skimpily dressed, musical videos, they are kissing, they are smoking, they are drinking, they're talking about crime and violence, they are skimpily dressed, they are not healthy for you at your age. And I knew I couldn't tell them, what I'm watching television, go to your room. It was not realistic. It definitely was not realistic. So I had to model it. We had to take those channels away completely. The likes of Telemundo, even there was one African Magic there. There's one girl, it's Emeka Enyocha. Oh my God, his movie was a no-no, because you hear him say, "Thunder go fire you there, thunder fire." Every time you turn to African Magic and it's Emeka Enyocha, the next thing he says is thunder fire you, thunder fire you care. I didn't want my kids to start using thunder to fire people. So such channels had to be no for us, just because of them, just to model it to them that healthy channel is what we watch, and we definitely can watch and stick with healthy channel. Yes, the next one you want to talk about, the last one I'm talking about, is encourage problem solving instead of encourage problem solving. Now, because one of the reasons your children will clash, one of the reasons they will actually do things that will misbehave, is because they don't have the right skills. So one of the things you actually want to teach them is to problem solve, even when they want to communicate with each other. Even your children, some parents complain that children talk back. One of the reasons is these children, they don't know how to problem solve. I always tell my children that anything you are not comfortable with is a problem. So what do? You don't have to respond as is entering your head. You don't have to respond spontaneously. You must sit down and examine your goal. What is your goal? And then look at ways you want to achieve your goals. Look at ways that will help you achieve your goals. So if you have your sibling annoying you, then that annoyance that time is a problem. So, and you have a goal, is a problem that is an obstacle blocking your goal. What is your goal? You have to understand your goal, and you now problem solve how you want to achieve your goal. Problem solve and find a solution that will not get you in trouble, because there are some solutions, because as you are problem solving, you've come up with a way, okay, I will just throw his things away. I will just hit him. Those solutions will get you into trouble. So you have to problem solve and come up with solution that will not get you into trouble. Now this is the last one. I shared problem. Teach them to problem solve. It's super important, you know. And one of the first things they need to always do is always pause and think. Examine their goal. Pause, think, examine your goal. For you as a parent, something you should always do. Pause, think, examine your goal. Your goal is to modify a behavior, not to break the child. So why should breaking the child be why would the method that leads to breaking the child be the option? So examine your goal and use a strategy that actually aligns with your goal without necessarily getting you into trouble. I tell you, if you keep teaching your children this, they will learn to act, they will learn to behave. For example, children will know that, okay, I'm tempted to go into Yahoo because I'm broke. They want to examine their goal. Okay, my goal is to make money. And okay, look at the options before me. The option that will not get me into trouble is to do XYZ. Yahoo will get me into trouble, and so I don't want that. So if you learn to follow this, structure your home in such a manner and include problem solving, I guarantee you that you are going to raise more responsible children. Thank you so much for joining me. And this brings me to our program for next month, the Self-Led Mentorship Book Club. We had it in September last year, and it was amazing. We want to invite you to register your child. It promises to be very empowering for your child. Your child is going to be super empowered. Children need a lot of guidance. Actually, preteens and teenagers from 8 years to 17 years, those in higher secondary school and higher primary school from 8 years to secondary school we want to empower them with skills. We want to empower them with ability to be able to stand pressure. We want to teach them about sexuality. We want to teach them etiquette. We want to teach them personal leadership and personal responsibility, because I've come to realize that very many of the struggles we have as parents, if our children learn to take responsibility for themselves, if they are not entitled to you, if they don't feel, a parent was telling me, my son would say, if my son, even till recently, if the son does something, he will always expect to be paid. Like, even when he washes his uniforms, you expect to be acknowledged and paid for washing his own uniform. Washes the dishes he eats with, he will be expected to be paid and acknowledged for that. And he will tell his mom, you know, I've been the one doing all the work since morning. I've been washing my uniform. I've been washing my dishes. Are you kidding me? When children learn to take responsibility for themselves, a lot of the headaches you have will actually stop. You will not always need to nag them. Taking responsibility for themselves begins by them understanding that their life belongs to them. When children understand that their life belongs to them, every action they take is actually about them. I tell children, everything you do is about you. It's not about someone else. As much as you giving me a glass of water to drink, it is about you. It benefits you more than it benefits the other person you are actually trying to help or something. So when children begin to know that, see, it is about them, their choices have consequences, you know, and consequences have ripple effect. This is, I was telling them in church on Sunday that when it comes to bullying, the teenagers, that when it comes to bullying, bully comes back to haunt the bully. And they were asking me, how does it happen? I was telling them this, and I said, imagine you succeed in bullying someone. Because you bully the person has low self-esteem because of your bullying. Now that person with low self-esteem is supposed to have great potentials, supposed to maybe find cure for cancer. You know, if the person has that confidence, they will go and conquer. But because we have bullied them so much so they no longer have self-confidence, they will not believe in themselves, they will not be able to achieve their potentials. I told them, so what if one of the reasons they were created, one of their potentials would have brought solution to a problem that you will suffer from a life? You have no idea, because life blows. You have no idea what your life holds. So what if the person you're actually bullying now, you have bullied the person's self-confidence away, and the person no longer has the self-confidence to come and provide solution, to come and provide help to you in the future? You know, I always give them this example. I say, see, one story I just kind of made up a long time ago. I always give them this example. I say, see, if someone is going, you are going to work, like someone is going, maybe someone is going to work, and somebody attacks the person, collects the person's money from the person. That's the money that person wants to use to eat, to pay the children's school fees and all of that. At the end of the day, because that thief has collected the person's money, the fraudster has collected the person's money, the person doesn't have money to pay his school fees again, the children's school fees. So the children are forced to drop out of school. The children drop out from school, and these children, maybe one of them also becomes a thief, and that thief now goes back to shoot your mom, and now you have to look for money to treat your mom, and maybe you don't have money. In the process of you thinking, or your mom even thinking, something happens, maybe an accident or something. I just cooked up the story. This is not the exact story, but something like this. So who is fundamentally responsible for the whole thing? And they will tell me it is the first person that stole, the first guy that stole from that woman. I say, that is it. That is how life works. So when children begin to understand that every single action of theirs actually comes back to either make them or break them, they will learn to behave. It's one of the things we want to help you achieve in the self-led book club. The children, they are going to first of all read a book to start with. Is a book club, so they are going to read one book for the entire 6 days, 2 weeks. Easter holiday, they are going to be in the academy. They are going to read a book, and every single day they have 6 major topics. I will have 4 coaches to teach them: etiquette, sexuality education, personal leadership, distraction management, peer pressure, personal responsibility. We have actually 12 topics, 2 a day, that we are going to teach these children. So you actually want to register your child for this class. It's only 10,000 naira. If you are Visionary Parents Academy, you can come inbox if you have more than one child. It's only 10,000 naira, you know, and for now. But from next week, it becomes 15,000 naira, because what they'll be getting materials, they'll be getting the book they are reading, the e-copy of it. They'll be taught how to read audio books in case they don't like hard copy. They'll be taught how to speed read. They'll be taught a few things so that at the end of the day, within that 2 weeks of their holiday, they will finish reading the book. Okay, thank you so much for joining. And if you also want to join the Visionary Parents Academy, remember, registration closes this month for the entire year. So you still have till the end of March to hurry up and join us, because after March, we will not open the door for you again. You wait till 2026. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, do what to leave in the comment section. See you next week. No, see you on Friday, where we'll be dropping a pre-recorded video. Bye. And do well to share, tell people about this channel so that we can grow and we can have more parents learning parenting intentionally. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, Coach Jinadu. I appreciate you, ma. Thank you so much, Mafumi. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everyone that joined. Bye-bye.